SPARCS lighthouse project together with other lighthouse projects and European Commissions. My name is Mimo Eraksinen and I come from the RIL, which is the Finnish Association of Civil Engineers, and we are also part of the SPARCS lighthouse project. And as Francisco, who is leading the SPARCS and coordinating the SPARCS project, already introduced, so I'm chairing this session together with my colleague Mari Hukkalainen. And as Francisco was already mentioned, so kindly unmute your microphones and cameras if you are not speaking, because we are so many, we are over 60 people in this session, so it's really wonderful that you are all joining. And now my pleasure is to welcome Helena Kyrki, who is the manager for sustainable development in the city of Espo, and she is giving us the welcoming words. So the floor is yours, Helena.
Thank you. So good morning and welcome to this event. Also on behalf of City of Espo, as already mentioned, my name is Helena Kyrki and I work as a manager of sustainable development at the Mayor's office. It's a pleasure to see so many of you, despite the conditions, to come and follow this event online. As a city, Espo has committed to an ambitious target of climate neutrality by the end of this decade, as well as to reaching the UN Agenda 2030 goals already by year 2025. Together with our partners, we want to find solutions to global sustainability challenges that can make climate neutral life in a city possible in the near future. But we can't do any of this alone. As well as systemic changes and new innovations, we need to engage our citizens and to find ways for them to commit and act for these same goals. So today we can learn from each other and share the experiences between the lighthouse cities. I hope you all have a great session and thank you. Welcome again.
Thank you, Helena, for your nice welcoming words. It's now my pleasure to welcome Olli Voutilainen, who is working for the Finnish Ministry of Trade and Industry, and he's especially focused on this mission and innovation, and he will give now the presentation about sustainable cities from digital solutions, mission-led innovation in Horizon Europe. So the floor is yours, Olli.
Thank you very much, Mimo. Can you all hear my voice very well?
Yes, we can hear.
Great, great. Let me just reply the welcoming words as was presented by the City of Espoo, also on behalf of the Finnish Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment, and my role in the Horizon Europe, namely the mission-led innovation strand, is be part of the national Finnish support group of this initiative. And Mimo Eraksinen, who already represented herself, is the board member in this mission board. My starting point is also very much in the very philosophy of the mission smart, carbon neutral and smart cities, namely the nexus or the crossroads of what is smart and what is digital, and how these two things can be combined. Can you switch the slide, please? As Mimo mentioned, we've got two main departures for this event, and the main departure is pretty much this new mission-based innovation strand within the Horizon program that has been in building up recently during the few months, and as well as the Horizon SPARCS project and some exemplary lighthouse projects that really give flesh on the bones what the mission activities could be. and how this mode of developing could be promoted. Can you switch the slide, please? I guess it's worth saying a few words about the current circumstances as well. Now just get one slide back. Yes, thanks. Okay, I can see that while we are all now in the very much focused on the present and the current crisis, we need also to look over this period and build a bridge towards what could be more normal and where we could have the regular circumstances back. And in terms of digital solutions and innovations, we can already by now see that also some positive impacts will take place for digital and sustainable development. And one of them is likely to be the so-called resilience of the connectivity that will need to be increased in the future. That would mean that we also need to highlight the resilience of the connectivity in terms of physical meetings, but especially digital connectivity that will replace more and more face-to-face meetings and in a quite intelligent ways. We can also see that an additional leap at the digital front may influence in carbon footprints positively, and we can see that that may influence indirectly to the broader sustainability. Next, please. Can you press once more? So the first question for me is why is carbon neutrality dependent on the utilization of digital opportunities? If you press once more, we can take an example from the very previous, very basic environment studies. I also learned some environment studies in the university, and there was a formula about the consumption per capita and number of consumers and the technology that is available. That is the multiplication of how sustainability as a whole will develop in the world. And in this equation, in this formula, we can now see that the third component, technology, that is available has increasingly become to mean digital technology. That's why we should put some attention to the third component. But we also can see that there is a firm link between consumers and also consumption patterns and consumption behavior of the citizens and consumers to the technology, so that technology and citizens are interlinked and they are in interaction. For example, in the innovations to monitor energy consumption in the housing and such examples. So this means if you press once more the button, please. This means that we could also speak about digital innovation for the planet, so that digital innovation really matters in terms of how sustainable we will be also in our cities and at the level of the globe. If you switch the slide, then so in the missions in the Horizon program, the starting question has been how can cities help getting Europe climate neutral as fast as possible? And there has been a comparison about getting man to the moon, so that this challenge is as broad as was the sending the man to the moon. There is a proposal on the table drafted pretty much in a really broad cooperation of different actors, primarily by Eurocities representing European cities, about 100 climate neutral cities by 2030, and essentially by and for the citizens. And this title this illustrates very well the essence of the missions. They should be driven by the challenges from the society, and there should be a more firm link to the citizen engagement, new level of mobilizing citizens. And in this respect, we in this event we have been speaking about the citizen engagement practices towards climate neutrality. We know that many cities, many countries have really good practices on engaging citizens to this challenge. And the mission board for the climate neutral and smart cities has proposed to establish a mission that would support and promote a number of 100 European cities in their systemic transformation towards climate neutral by 2030. And this should be made in a process that combines 3 levels in the European collaboration, namely the cities, then national level, and the European level. And this process would have aims to promote the cities as national, European, and global front runners, addressing that European Green Deal is possible to make reality. Also to inspire many more cities to do the same as these 100 front runners. Stress the just transition by helping to deliver United Nations Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development Goals. And also this mission would bring associated benefits, so-called co-benefits, such as improving air quality in cities, creating jobs, promoting healthier lifestyles, and more sustainable mobility. If you switch the slide, then can you? Yes. And these are the 5 key enablers that have been defined in the proposal to push the transition towards carbon neutral cities. And I would like to pick up two most important. The first one, that is to plan a transformative agenda for cities to become innovation hubs. This highlights the technological and innovative solutions to carbon neutrality. And the fifth one, that is to deploy and use smart systems and data platforms to enhance and boost this transition. Then if you switch the slide, please. The key vehicle to deliver this aim of the mission is to support and showcase the 100 European cities and also enable cities in experimentation and innovation hubs in great number of cities. As the proposal goes, it also includes an idea to offer cities financial means to achieve these goals, mainly through Horizon Europe program and also some other European funds. And these contracts would really combine the three levels in Europe, European, national and city level, to align the actions to the common climate goal. If you switch the slide, then we also had during this European presidency at the latter half of the 2019, last autumn, pretty well articulated agenda for digital innovation for cities, and we mainly had two same messages as this mission now has. The first one was that digital cities must be defined from the city's needs, from the social needs, merely than only the technological applications. That has been the case in many times in the past. The second message from the Finnish presidency was that it's really much needed to mobilize the citizens, inhabitants, the people of the cities to make the greater impact. And in concrete, we have suggested and planned a cross-thematic cluster pilot within the skirts of urban agenda for the EU to achieve the goal for sustainable and carbon neutral urban development by the means of utilizing better the digital opportunities in cities. And the idea of this cluster pilot is to bring together the different themes in urban agenda which are related to digital development, and to cross-fertilize these themes, whether air quality, sustainable mobility, or housing, or some other important themes, and to identify common issues that should be solved in the collaboration between the different themes of the urban agenda. If you please switch the slide for the last one, I would like to sum up this. Can you please switch the slide? Yes, thank you. So we can see that smart cities, digital cities, are largely visible in various instruments at the European level at the moment. And now there is one more available, that is the mission for climate neutral and smart cities. And this is probably the most directly defined from the interconnection of the climate challenge and the digital challenge. This means that digital development increasingly meets carbon smart goals, and that gives many opportunities for the cities, but also to the innovations and to the companies. It's certainly an opportunity to highlight the society-driven innovation, and namely to do it in cities. And as far as we know now, there is of course some uncertainties about the future. However, the message we have heard from the Commission side and the Eurocity side, that the mission will the planning of the mission will continue as quick as it is possible, also in the remote mode, and hopefully also in the normal mode in the latter part of the year. And this is something to follow up from the city's point of view. So I would like to once more thanks a lot for this opportunity to look at this interconnected topic, and I wish really nice working in this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Olli, for this wonderful presentation, and really showing and pointing out that it's really important to have the resilience in digital solutions, and also the importance of co-innovation with citizens. Now I have the pleasure to introduce the welcome from the European Commission, and namely Oana Melin-Senau. She is the policy officer in the DG Research and Innovation, and will give us the perspectives from the European Commission. So the floor is yours, Oana.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Before starting, I would like just clarify a couple of things on the presentation of Olli, and just wanted to say that the board members were selected in their individual capacity. So the proposal on the mission was the result of the reflection of 15 board members, and Maria will develop on the mission further on. From the Commission side, first of all, I would like to thank you for the organizers in maintaining this session and adapting very quickly to the current crisis. Helsinki is the first in the list proposing a remote dialogue with the Commission and the board members, and I would like to thank you for that. The policy context, you already know it. In December last year, the European Green Deal communication was released. And the Commission is taking an ambitious commitment of putting Europe on a pathway to a sustainable future, while
It seems, Oana, that your voice is not really well heard here from this end.
hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you better.
So the Commission is...
Excuse me, I can't hear anything.
Yes, it seems that Oana, we still have difficulties to hear your voice.
Okay, I tested the micro this morning, so it should have worked.
Okay, now we can hear. Now we can hear. Wonderful.
So the Commission is trying to reconcile.
Oh, I'm sorry, Oana. The voice is still really. I mean, we just sometimes hear you.
We may suggest also that there is a chance to connect through a phone connection, to join the meeting through phone connection. I just put the numbers and the conference ID into the chat board.
Yeah, so if you have the possibility, Oana, to connect via phone, so
Okay.
the phone number. Can you see the phone number in the chat box?
Yes.
Well, actually, now we can hear you speak again, but I mean, it's really weak sometimes.
Now is it better?
Yes, now it's really good.
I'll try not to move. The climate pact cannot be delivered without the strong commitment and the collaboration of all actors involved in the process. And citizens are playing an active role in this. Why this emphasis on citizens? It's because the Commission has a long tradition in consulting with different stakeholders, but when it comes to citizens, there are very dispersed actions. So now we have under the Horizon Europe legal basis for that, including the citizens into the decision-making process. And the Commission is trying new ways to get to the citizens, and the mission, and in particular the mission of cities, are considering one of the tools to involve the citizens in the policy-making process. I would have to go through the
Unfortunately, it's impossible to hear anything.
Yeah, the voice is already down. I would suggest Anna to connect through the phone in case you have the chance to do it.
Okay.
So that.
Okay, we are waiting for a few seconds that Oana can have the. Okay, Oana is suggesting that we are giving the floor to Maria. Maybe we give now the floor to Maria, and then I mean Oana promised to share the slides, so we can share the slides afterwards. So unfortunately, due to the voice connection, so we are then going to thank you once more, Oana, for trying, and apologies for these technical problems. So now I have the pleasure to introduce Maria Vasilako, and she is the board member of a mission of climate neutral and smart cities, and she will give now the guidance for us why citizens are so important in the transition towards climate neutrality. and what are the board objectives. So Maria, the floor is yours, and let's hope that the voice connection is now better.
Yes, let's hope so too. So good morning, everybody from Vienna. I would have loved to be together with you in Finland, but as things are, I'm here in Vienna, and I will be very happy to share our experiences and our knowledge with you. And I will be even more happy to listen to your inputs for us that are very, very important at this stage. Now, perhaps so that you also know just a tiny bit about myself, I have been the deputy mayor of Vienna for almost 10 years. I resigned from office half a year ago, and now I am working at the European level as a member of the mission board on the future of the Horizon mission. Now, as you can see, there are 5 mission areas, and one of these mission areas is the idea of arriving at climate neutral smart cities within the very next years as part of the European Commission's projects, let's put it this way, or perspectives to reach climate neutrality altogether within the next decades. Next one, please. Now, the Commission wishes, with the missions, to achieve a strong, visible impact. They wish to achieve measurable goals. This is very, very important. So whatever progress there is has to be measurable within a set time frame. And it is wished for to find solutions for major day-to-day challenges that European citizens are facing all over Europe. Next one, please. What the European missions are not, they are not just some more research and innovation programs. They are not some more partnerships. And actually here, the main message is that they want the missions to be much, much more than just research and innovation. So it's actually about the future of the Horizon programs, and it's about stepping out of yet some other wonderful research programs and starting to serve one means, one mission. Next one, please. Maybe one last word on this before we get deeper into our mission. When the European Commission is talking about missions, they really mean that whatever is done, whatever financial means are spent, whatever research and innovation is developed, whatever other projects are being developed and implemented, they really have to serve one means. And this one means is something very ambitious. Van der Leyen put it in her own words a few months ago. She talked about putting the man on the moon again. And what she meant by this was that back in the 60s, in the beginning of the 60s, nobody ever believed that by the end of the 60s, the first man would be walking around on the moon. But what happened back then was that everything was put together. Everything was focused to get towards that direction. It was a mission, and this is why they made it. And we're yet again in the same situation, the continent of Europe. And if we really focus on one mission, then we're going to make it. So once again, now we're getting deeper into our mission. Next one, please. So once again, these are our orders. The Commission gave us, when we started working together in September, they said you're free to develop the mission as you feel as experts from different fields that it is meaningful, but you have some orders on our behalf. And the first one was be bold and be inspirational. The second and very important one was also be don't think only in terms of research and innovation. Don't think only in terms of climate neutrality. Take up a wider societal perspective. They wanted us to take up to work into a clear direction, targeted, measurable, time-bound action. They wanted us to be very ambitious, but also to develop a mission that is realistic and that can be achieved. They wanted innovation across disciplines, so no silo thinking and no silo programs, but really bringing sectors and actors from different parts of society, different parts of economy, different levels of politics. You can imagine what I'm talking about together. So cross-disciplinary. Now we're getting to the most important part, and which is why we're talking to each other today. They wanted a bottom-up approach of multiple solutions, and they wanted real citizen engagement. That means not just participation. Participation was yesterday. It's about co-designing. So it's about a really, really active role of the citizens. It has to be a mission for the citizens and by the citizens themselves. Next one, please. Now, you may have heard this already. I don't know if Olli mentioned it. It's 15 people per mission area. The Commission has tried to create mission boards where almost, as far as I know, every member state is represented. Not, of course, every member state in every board, but altogether to have a mixture that is balanced in terms of gender, in terms of geographical parts of Europe, and in terms of different sectors. So our board has quite a good mixture. And just to give you an impression, approximately 1/3 of us comes from politics. So we have the former mayor of Warsaw, that is our chairwoman. We have myself, who's been the vice mayor of Vienna. We have Alan Larsson, who has been a minister in Sweden. These are just a few examples. We have a few people from big businesses, and then we also have some people from academia. Next one, please. And here you can have a short glimpse of who we are. As you can see, I am the one on the bottom right. Next one, please. Now, what are our tasks? Actually, our task is to advise the European Commission. That means we develop the idea of what a mission what the mission should look like. We have to file in reports in regular intervals. In the end, of course, it is up to the Commission and the European Parliament to decide if they will adopt our proposals or not. But our feedback so far has been very positive. And here you can see once again the many different fields where we have to take into consideration in order to develop the mission. So it's about the content, it's about the characteristics, it's about the mode of evaluation, it's about the selection of cities, it's about a portfolio. So we don't want to leave anyone behind. We don't want to end up with a mission where parts of Europe, whole parts of Europe, are not participating in the first place. But it is also about communication. We have to come up with ideas, or at least some proposals, as to how to involve citizens. It's about synergies. So you see, there is a lot to be done within the next months. Next one, please. Now we should be looking a little bit deeper into actually what is it about. Next one, please. Now, we all know that the future of humanity is going to be an urban future. We all know that the greatest part of carbon dioxide emissions worldwide is produced in cities, yet cities actually cover only the smallest part of the earth. So we clearly realize that if we want to work towards a carbon neutral future for humanity, then it is clearly cities that hold the golden key in their hands, as I always say. This is where we have to start. This is where we have to try out new things. This is where we have to be bold. Whatever we develop here will create a further greater impact than if we start somewhere else. Next one, please. Now, of course, there's a backdrop to all this, which is very important. First and foremost, the Paris Agreement and the revised targets of the European Union resulting from it. And then, of course, the SDGs and the New Urban Agenda. So in this respect, what we were asked to do and what we also all of us agree to is that when talking about climate neutral smart cities, we mean cities that are not only climate neutral, we also mean cities that are equitable. We mean cities that are inclusive. We mean cities that provide high life quality to all of their citizens. And when talking about smart, we mean new technologies that will serve to these ends. Next one, please. And here you have a quote by Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles. So I think you can read it all by yourselves. And just give us 1 second to take it in. And it is actually really this decade where we have to make the difference. Next one, please. So where do we stand right now? Next one. First of all, we have already filed in our first report. That was December 2019. This first report was received by the Commission very positively. So on the basis of the positive feedback that we have had by the Commission, we keep working in the same direction. Now, I'm afraid somebody has turned on the micro and we have very bad background. Thank you. Next one, please. Now, the Commission that we have proposed was 100 climate neutral cities by 2030 by and for the citizens. So the idea is really to have 100 European cities participating. The idea is to achieve systemic transformation. The idea is that they achieve this by 2030. And let's get a little bit more detailed into this. Next one, please. So it has to be a holistic, systemic approach, really taking into consideration the main sectors where carbon dioxide emissions are being produced and can be accordingly reduced by the right types of innovations. So it's about buildings, it's about resources, it's about mobility, it's about services, and so on. And once again, it's about thinking synergetically. So it's not just R&I, it is about really combining sectors and using synergies once again to achieve the target. Next one, please. We want political actors, we want citizens to function as political actors, as well as users, producers, consumers, and owners. This means we really want this mission to be belonging, to be also co-owned by the citizens themselves. Otherwise, we're not reaching our objectives. Next one, please. Now, there will be now 4 to 5 slides with many details. I suppose that we will be sharing them later on, so that you can maybe have a look at them, on your own. I will just try to point out in the next couple of minutes the most important aspects when it comes to my point of view. I think once again, it's about supporting these 100 European cities so that they can really achieve climate neutrality by 2030. It's about pulling together financial means, because we realize that there have to be projects, infrastructures financed that will need considerable financing, right? And so it is about, once again, pulling different means of financing together and aligning different programs within the Union, but also involving the European Investment Bank, and trying to finance the whole mission. It's about capitalizing on existing European climate initiatives and stakeholders. So there are numerous programs already and initiatives there. We want to align ourselves with them. We want to get to work in a coordinated manner, but we don't want to be yet another program. It's about, in the end, working all together in order to achieve the mission. Next one, please. As you've already heard from Olli, what we propose is a climate city contract. That means that all cities that are participating should sign this contract. The contract should be signed by the Commission, by the city itself, by the national state, and perhaps, if it is relevant, by some intermediate level. In many countries, we have federal states or regions that have responsibilities, because clearly cities do not have all responsibilities they need in their hands in order to achieve climate neutrality. So we want all levels of politics to be binding themselves to cooperate in order to achieve the mission. So the contract is binding. It is also about creating a one-stop shop. We're right now discussing if there should be a one-stop shop for each national level, plus one at European level, which is preparing cities, is assisting cities in their preparation. And it's also about especially assisting cities in terms of pulling financial means needed together. And one last very important issue, of course, we realize that cities are facing very, very different challenges according to geographical differences, their structure, their history. Do they have industry? Do they not have industry? So there has to be a common part of these contracts with regard to how we measure and what is to be achieved. But then, of course, these contracts have to be also flexible in order to be able to react and adapt according to the specificities of each city. Next one, please. So what we also need is we want to use this contract also to turn barriers into drivers. So it's about turning cities, transforming cities into innovation hubs. It's about new forms of governance. So achieving climate neutrality as a mission means eco-governance. It means a different role for the city. It means for the city to understand, to perceive itself as a stakeholder manager, bringing together various stakeholders, taking the lead, but also working very closely with them in order to develop a common vision and a common direction and joint programs. It's about integrated urban planning. This is also very important. So we aspire at arriving in the end at a new model for urban planning to be shared across Europe. It's about data, new smart uses of data platforms, sharing of data, harmonizing data. And last but not least, it's about a new economic model for climate action. And yes, I have already mentioned that it's a binding document. Next one, please. There, I will not get deeper into this. It is really we have placed and will be placing a clear focus in turning cities into innovation hubs. Perhaps I should also say that when we're speaking about cities as innovation hubs, we do not mean the city only as a silo for itself. We mean the city within the region. So we are aspiring and want to encourage cities that they work together with other cities in the region to also create these types of partnerships, because we think that in a network of cities, you may be able to address some of the challenges much easier than in the small frame of one city alone by itself. Next one, please. So, and it's about, I have already mentioned these new forms of governments. I think the most important part of it is that it is about the involvement of citizens. It's about giving citizens and the civil society an active role, new platforms to act, and the resources to design and implement their own climate actions. So forget top-down. It is really about bottom-up engagement, knowing and having realized that all the good research in the world, all science in the world, all wonderful ideas that some people may have will not lead us to where we want to go if they're not shared broadly, and if it is not you and me as everyday people who will develop also their own ideas, their own actions. It has to be something that we all do together across Europe. Next one, please. It's about combining financing once again and aligning relevant EU funding programs with a window to allocate resources to the mission so that it can be achieved. Next one. Getting a little bit deeper into the model of integrated planning, it's about realizing that it is also about the way we plan cities. So it's planning cities in a combined, in a holistic, in a synergetic way, get out of the traditional silo planning and make efficient use of resources and think of it already whilst planning. Next one, please. And the use of digital technologies, data. I have gotten into this a little bit deeper so we can move on. Next one. And now we get to the most important point. Of course, we realize that many cities will have difficulties becoming climate neutral as a whole city by the year 2030. So what we say is, if the city can develop a climate action plan in order to become climate neutral by 2030 as an entire city, wonderful. But if they cannot, perhaps just to give you an example, because of their size, then we want them to choose at least one part of the city that has to be a significant part of the city. So it may be a district, it may be a new or an old urban quota, but it has to be a significant, big, well, adequately large part of the city that must have a comprehensive action plan to become climate neutral by the year 2030. And as you all realize, the existence of such a climate action plan is, of course, the precondition in order to participate in the mission. Next one, please. Yes, and what is also important to know is that our mission will be focusing on climate mitigation predominantly, because there is another mission that is focusing on climate adaptation. But of course, many measures that are to be applied in cities also serve the means and ends of climate adaptation and resilience. So we will be coordinating our actions with the other relevant mission. Next one, please. Now, when it comes about what is to be achieved, it's about mitigating all greenhouse gas emissions within the city by 2030. What is also important is to help cities make the transition beyond Scope 1 and 2 to also towards the direction of Scope 3. And we want harmonized biennial reporting. Now, currently, we're actually discussing on how do we want this reporting to be done and how do we want measuring to be done. My guess is that we will be most probably following the path that is being used by the Covenant of Mayors already, but this is to be decided on behalf of the board yet. Next one, please. And now we come to the next steps. Next one. So this is where we stand right now, and I'm really thankful that you decided to organize this today because we really need consultation with different stakeholders and we need citizens' engagement starting from now already. We need to involve citizens already in the design of the mission. This has to be in these months. You may imagine that the new situation makes it far more difficult a task than it would have been in any way. So we will be having several remote stakeholder and citizen engagement activities and need your inputs in shaping our final report for the Commission that is to be delivered by the end of 2020. Next one, please. We are in dialogue with the member states and the European Parliament at the same time. And here you can see a slide showing the dialogue structure. So you can see that we receive input from citizens and stakeholders, also from mayors, I should say. There's also a mission assembly where member states are represented. We advise the European Commission. We also are in communication with the committee of the European Parliament on Horizon Europe and the Parliament itself. And of course, we receive feedback from them again. All of this will help us once again shape our final proposal for the Commission and for the European Parliament that is to be turned in by December 2020. Next one, please. And the timeline, here you can see where we stand actually now. We are actually in the process of shaping the most important details of the mission. And at the Commission would like to begin with the program, to start the program 2021. Next one, please. And there's, of course, another, this is not really a program. When it comes to the European Green Deal, I would say that this is the most strong aspiration, perspective, plan of the European Union for the next decade. So I would like to spend a minute explaining how our mission communicates with the Green Deal, you see that the pillars of the Green Deal is the revision of climate legislation and targets for 2030 for all member states, and it is to turn the investment bank into a climate bank. So you may imagine that this, of course, actually is very, very relevant and very important to our mission as well. Next one, please. It's about achieving climate neutrality. So a comprehensive plan for by 2030 and climate neutrality by 2050. You can see the different targets that there are within the Green Deal. And here you can clearly see that they correspond to the targets of our mission as well. Next one, please. And there are 4 Green Deal missions that will help deliver large-scale changes. It's here again about partnerships with industry and member states, and R&I in strategic sectors, such as transport, energy, and so on. Everything you read here is actually immediately relevant also for our mission. So we can actually regard our mission also as part of achieving the European Green Deal in the context of cities. Next one, please. Yes, and this is what it is about today. And this is where this is the last part of my presentation. Actually, I hope I have been able to present to you who we are, what we're doing, what we're trying to do, why we're doing this, what the Commission wants. My message is it's about innovating not only in terms of programs, but it's about also innovating the way we think, the way we handle actions, the way the Commission goes about financing programs. It's about deep innovation and a totally new governance that we need in order to make Europe climate neutral within the next decades. And cities are the pioneering champions for this, supported by this mission, so that we can have 100 champion cities in terms of climate neutrality by the year 2030. And this is once again where we need the citizens. It's your turn. And in the end, I have 3 crucial questions that I would like you to be answering today. I'm really very much forward to listening to your inputs when it's about how you envisage your green city by 2030. And what do you think that you can do to achieve this vision? What do you think your city can do to achieve this vision? And what do you think the mission can do to achieve this vision? And I will allow myself to be returning to these questions in the process of today's meeting. Next one. And thanks for listening.
Thank you, Maria. That was really thorough presentation about the mission board, and we are really honored that you could take part of our session, and also like highlighting the importance of co-design and co-innovation and doing this together, and also that we are now collecting the questions. Now we have in the program the success stories and challenges on how citizens are engaged in different European cities. But before that, so Oana, would you like to have a few words because your presentation was skipped, or how shall we proceed?
Hi, do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Sorry for that, technical issues. I don't know exactly what you've heard of what I mentioned before, but I just wanted to stress and to thank you for maintaining this session and adapting very quickly to the current health crisis. So your country, your cities is the first in the list that we're that are proposing a remote dialogue with the Commission and the board members and the stakeholders, and I would like to thank you for that. Now Maria had such a comprehensive presentation that leaves me with less words than I expected. Just to compliment a little bit on the European Green Deal, which communication which was launched in December last year. So the Commission has taken an ambitious commitment of putting Europe on a pathway to a sustainable future while leaving no one behind. And the challenge here is not only to achieve a climate neutral continent by 2050, but is also to reconcile a cleaner, greener, healthier environment with a growing economy. And the first milestone in achieving this was recently on 4th of March with the adoption of the first ever climate law. You can take the next slide, please. The Climate Pact, of course, cannot be delivered without the strong commitment of and collaboration of all the actors involved in the process, and the citizens are playing an active, very active role. Why this emphasis on the citizens? It's because the Commission has a long tradition in consulting with different stakeholders, but when it comes to citizens, they are very dispersed actions, so the impact on the society is quite reduced. Next slide, please. The Commission is thinking now different ways to so under the Horizon Europe, there is now even a legal basis, including the citizens into decision-making process. And as Maria said, it's a bottom-up approach and solution taking into account the human and societal needs. Next slide, please. The Commission is trying different ways to get to the citizens, and the missions seems to be a perfect tool, and especially the mission on cities. It's the perfect way to get to the citizens because they are acting at the local level, so they are on the front, in front with the citizens, and they know the local realities. And it's in line with the second report of Professor Mazzucato released during last autumn, saying that the mission cannot be achieved without a bottom-up approach. Next slide, please. I will not go into the definition of what citizens engagement is. We probably have different vision, but we have foreseen sort of a general confusion between communication outreach and citizens engagement. And what the Commission is willing now is basically to give a voice to the silent majority. So involving the citizens actively in the policy making and in a comprehensive way. Next slide, please. Why this citizens engagement? There was mentioned already by Maria and your colleagues. It's from we are used to do policy without basically taking into account the local realities, and the citizens are playing a major role because they can identify the needs, benefits, and challenges, and also the priorities who are mandatory to build policies and future European programs. And it's also part of for the Commission to have a transparency and give accountability for how it spends the public money. Next one, please. So how, where and when Maria already addressed all this, ideally in an ideal world, the Commission is not trying to seek a formal consultation that she used to do in the past with the stakeholders. I mean, not only that, when talking about citizens' engagement, of course, we're in process of consultation along with the citizens' engagement. So that doesn't mean, but citizens' engagement, it's not a formal standard public consultation that we. It's not only about the usual suspects, and in this sense, we had a workshop last month with different DGs and external experts, and the outcome was a draft on a methodology on how to have a one-day citizens engagement activity and a reporting template. This should be done, of course, in the local language when we are and with the local partners, because they know the local reality. But now, of course, we have to we have to adapt to a new context, and this new context of the health crisis put us into search and seek a different methodology. And I think one online engagement, online dialogue, it's the way to do it if we want to maintain the deadline, which is still without further notice till end of May. And Maria already mentioned the geographical, the importance of having this across all 27 member states, and to have a geographical balance coverage and different sizes of cities. And voila, I think my presentation ends here.
Okay, thank you, Anna, and thank you. Now the voice was really good, and thank you also for the flexibility due to this a bit difficult situation, so we can also use the online recommendations and engagement. So thank you for that. And now we are going to the part which is about the success stories and challenges on how citizens are engaged in different project. And now I have the pleasure to introduce Elina Vanne from City of Espo and from the SPARCS project. So she's going to tell us about the situation in Espo. So the floor is yours, Elina. Are you online, Elina?
Thank you, Mimo. My mic wasn't on. So good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mimo, for your kind words, and greetings from sunny Espoo. I would have loved to see you here today, face to face, discussing this important issue together. But as the situation is, we now take advantage of it the way we are now having this seminar. So my name is Elina Vanne, and I work as a project manager for SPARCS, which is a lighthouse project, and Espo is Lighthouse City. The project began only last fall, so about the results of SPARCS, I can't tell a lot yet, but I will tell you about the plans. My colleague, Helena Kyrki, who opened this event, already mentioned the very ambitious goal City of Espoo has regarding carbon neutrality, which is year 2030. It is actually a huge challenge, since actually it's only 10% of the CO2 emissions the city itself can straight have an effect. So this challenge calls citizen engagement for real. But in my presentation, I will shortly start with outlining what citizen engagement is currently at the City of Espoo. And then after that, I will go further to what kind of ideas SPARCS has. And as I have only 5 minutes, so let's get to the action. So in Finland, the law is actually setting many demands regarding citizen engagement for cities. So, for example, city planning process has very, very defined steps how citizens must be engaged. Citizen engagement has been in the city's toolbox for quite long, and of course the ways to do it have been developing and changing over time. But the basis comes from the law, and then at the city we have set these cornerstones kind of to outline or the frame the work we're doing. We have split citizen engagement to 4 different topics, which are open governance, democracy, local action, and customer orientation. And in the middle of that circle, we have the word trust. It's about trust, really, that the people who live or work in the city believe that the city is doing its best to enhance or keep the current state of the art. Let's then go to the next slide, which is about SPARCS. You can press a bit more so that we get all the text. Thank you. And a bit more. And a bit more.
Is now exiting.
So the project itself is about energy positive district and zero carbon communities, but citizen engagement is very much in the middle. And I see this project a great means to tackle the big challenge of the transition of energy and mobility that is ahead of us, and how the citizens can be part of this transition and also support that. So in SPARCS, we are using many ways to engage the citizens, but it's mostly regarding the themes. The concrete themes that we are tackling are in energy and mobility, but also in the overall view in sustainable lifestyle. And SPARCS, it will last for 4.5 years. So I will hope that during these years, I will get to tell you more about the results we get and share these views and ideas we have. And of course, I would love to hear from all the other lighthouse cities and other cities as well, how you tackle the big transition in energy and mobility, and also regarding sustainable lifestyle. And to end my presentation, the last slide. As we at the City of Espoo have really concluded, we would like to work with and also citizens and other organizations together to figure out the new solutions for a more sustainable future. And this is really what we are working for. And the aim is that the carbon handprint of the city could be huge if the solutions that are developed here could be disseminated around the world and in that sense have very, very much more significance. I think this was my 5 minutes, and let's continue. I'm just eager to hear from other cities what are they presenting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Elina. Thank you. And the next city, or actually the group of cities, is the Grow Smarter Together project, and Hans-Martin Neumann from AIT is giving us the presentation about citizen engagement practices towards climate neutrality. So the floor is yours, Hans-Martin.
Many thanks, Mimo. Thanks for having me. Well, good morning. I would like to give you a short insight about what we are doing in the Smarter Together project and in the and also in a well-related national project in Vienna called Lila for Green. Next slide, please. Yeah, exactly. Well, Smarter Together might sound familiar to some of you. This is one of the Smart City Lighthouse projects. It was awarded funding in the second year, on the second round of the project. It brings together the cities of Vienna, of Munich, and of Lyon. And we were proud and happy to be one of the initiators of this project. Currently, we are work package leader for monitoring and evaluation, and we are also involved in many local tasks in Vienna. What is the project about? It's about providing solutions that make life in the three cities and the three deprived neighborhoods more attractive by using an innovation approach, by using smart technologies and process and social innovation to improve the life of the citizens. Next slide, please. So the project addresses different clusters of solutions, tackling energy solutions, holistic refurbishment, smart data. So we use urban data platforms, e-mobility solutions, and also as a binding element, we have from the very beginning on citizen engagement involved. This was actually one of the reasons why we won this project. The cities lobbied for it, and the evaluators really liked it, really appreciated it, that this was foreseen from the very beginning. This is just giving some impressions of the areas we are talking about. The right picture on the right-hand side is from the mixed-use area in Vienna, so that combines classical housing from the 19th century and a lot of social housing from the post-war period and the interwar period. Munich has an area in the periphery, mainly consisting of former social housing that was later on privatized. And Lyon has a classical backside of the railway station situation, which was for a long time a very deprived neighborhood. Now it's being converted into a model district. Let me talk about the area in Vienna. I said it's a very specific one in terms of the social structure. So we have a high share of migrant population from all parts of the world. Not all of them are also always feel comfortable talking in the local language. So also one of the aspects of the project was ensuring that the communication also works in Serbian and Croatic and Turkish. We also have a comparatively high share of young people, but also elderly, and sometimes, quite a lot of low-income households that need to be engaged. And the city of Vienna has set up from the very beginning on of the project a very intense, engagement process with using classical formats as well as new innovative approaches. You can see here at the top of this slide, some insights. For example, on the left-hand side, you see a trailer that was rented by the city of Vienna, decorated with the Smarter Together, corporate design, and they brought it to many places in the neighborhood to inform about the project, to talk to the local population, also to take up the ideas how this project should be shaped. So this was I think one stream that also really had also co-creative aspects. Another very important element is the involvement of the schools in the neighborhood. So this refers to a school building that now has a zero-energy gym, the first of its kind in Vienna. And also, school children were involved in bringing in ideas into the project and discussing about what the challenges are for making cities more attractive and carbon neutral in the future. Finally, I would like also to mention the activity that is shown here on the right-hand side. One slide back, please. That is the Speed the Street. That was a kind of competition that should motivate children and their families to walk more. So you could collect points by going to specific places in the area. with these chips, and that turned out a huge success. So that was extremely successful, and just shows also the power, I think, of new technology for engaging well, citizens in a project. So now next slide. Well, the focus of the Smarter Together project, if you want, is somehow related to climate change mitigation, to saving carbon emissions, while in the neighboring areas, and this is really adjacent to what we to the area of the Smarter Together project, we do a project on climate change mitigation. You can see here on the left-hand side that's a dense in the city neighborhood. The Smarter Together project is actually just on the other side of this highway you see in the middle. And this Lila for Green project follows a co-creative approach to test new solutions, or to co-design, I would say, first co-design and test new solutions regarding to climate change adaptation in such dense inner city neighborhoods. And you can see here on the upper hand side several activities that we as AIT, as coordinator and other partners have been carrying out there, that leads from, well, simulations that show the potential impact of climate change, developing, co-designing adaptation scenarios, and then also doing, well, rapid prototyping, piloting in the urban space, as you can see with this parklet on the left-hand side. That is a temporary use of a parking space, where also new plants will provide shade and improve the local climate. And also on the right-hand side, you see an app that is being developed that can be used for showing, what streets will look like in case you plant new trees. You can discuss with the local population how this can be done and what the priorities are. And this is an ongoing project, and we are also very happy to collaborate with this with the city of Vienna and with many other local stakeholders. So summing up, well, in fact, we do believe that the citizen engagement and co-creation is really key for making a climate smart and carbon neutral city a reality. We have to not just get the feedback from the local population on what we're doing, may it be research or may it be real implementation. We also should go for co-creation, and that will also lead to a higher acceptance and to a kind of an ownership of the developments. We can see this clearly in our projects. And in the end, all is about creating win-win situations, between the local population, between the municipality, also between investors and research, of course. And so this is actually about bringing the quadruple helix into implementation, into reality. And we are very happy that we're involved in several projects in this, and we do see that it is very beneficial for all parties involved. So thank you very much for your attention, and again, many thanks for having me in this very exciting online meeting today.
Thank you, Hans-Martin, for really informative presentation. Our next one is Mari Pehviläinen from the city of Tampere and from the project Stardust. And she will give us a presentation, a model of participation and community in Tampere and examples cases for citizen engagement. Welcome, Marit.
Thank you, Mimo. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Would have been nice to be there in sunny Espo, but luckily we have also sunshine here in Tampere. And thank you for invitation to come and tell about experiences in Tampere. I will tell about this Tampere.Finland application only, as there is only this 5 minutes, so not plural cases, but concentrate on one case. Tampere has a strategy to become carbon neutral by year 2030, so it's fitting good for this event's targets. And here is the picture of how in Tampere we have developed this citizen engagement. So we are thinking that goals and principles lead the action. So what are the goals and principles? definitely developing the city and its services with the citizen is important. Make use of the knowledge and expertise and motivation of the residents, customers, communities, and businesses to develop and deliver services and to redevelop the city. And also enabling community and citizen engagement is important. We try to create new opportunities for residents, customers, communities, and businesses to utilize city resources such as environment, expertise, facilities, and data. And we appreciate the contribution of various parties to the development of the city. And then one important is the transparency of information and dialogue. And we get diverse views from different residents and customers and communities, and we have had a real discussions of views and are open to new ideas. And we keep information about available services, opportunities for participation and influence, and decision making open and accessible. And we foster the cooperation and cooperative relationship and try to be interesting and equal partners. And the future of Tampere will be built together. So city alone cannot do it, but sit together with citizens and businesses and etc. And of course, the evaluation and the measurements are important. And we are building up the model of developing during this, or we have started 2019 and will be continuing 2020. And KPIs for this will be introduced in stages. You can put the next slide. Here we can see the priorities for the development for the community in the coming years. So there is this participatory budgeting, crowdfunding, digital participation, influencing institutions and forums, new businesses, partnership concepts, civic support services, and voluntary work. And I have highlighted now the digital part there because the case will be about the digital. And the evaluation of the participatory model has shown that the use of digital participatory channels in the city has been inadequate. And the city haven't had well-established digital engagement solutions and tools to engage its stakeholders or the citizens. And different departments has utilized different tools or what they find the best. And digital participation opportunities are offered and utilized on an occasional basis. And according to the feedback we have received from the citizens, the key challenges are finding the information on the opportunities for participation and influence, and uncertainty about the progress of inclusion projects and the impact of own participation on the final results. And then lack of well-established solutions and procedures undermines the involvement of residents and communities. So you can put the next slide. And we have been developing this Tampere.Finland application as a channel for citizens to influence online. And it was actually developed as part of innovative partnership of the one hackathon we organized. Stardust was part of this hackathon together with other projects in Smart Tampere. And this application has been developed by one company called Geniem. It's Finnish or company from Tampere. And this application is using the open data, which is available in the net or in the Tampere data portal. and the API is available in the city of Tampere. At the same time, when we are offering the data to the citizens, it's actually collecting data for our pilot area for the lighting system. So we get the information where citizens are moving, and we can light up the street lights accordingly. And here the picture is actually about the digital library card that is part of the application. You can put the next slide. So in order to get people to download the application, which has actually downloaded already over 45,000 times, it's important that people get something worth downloading it. So the application is offering this Tampere Pass, which offers discounts for different kind of services. It gives information about moving. The Learn part is about this library card, and it tells about events in the city. And the development is happening all the time, so it's already showing the basis for recycling, and then the influence channel will become where you can give feedback to the city. It will inform more precise Tampere events, and for example, it could be used in the time of crisis for giving information about the situation in Tampere. It will give questionnaires when city wants information from the citizens, so it can offer short questionnaires. And also it can give the need of service note when you find something that is wrong in the city. You can share the information to the city, and it automatically gets the position where you are, so you don't have to explain the place where you are. And it also offers the carbon dioxide calculator for the mobility, so it will be further developed also. So in the future, it automatically tells how much carbon dioxide you have saved if you go by bike or by foot. And it will then have more and more services available, so it will be constantly developed. It was started by Stardust pilot, but now it's really owned by the city, and it will be this centralized way to contact people inside Tampere. And also it offers services for tourists when there is again possibility to come and visit Tampere. Next slide, please. So this was everything this time. I hope there would have been more time to tell more experiences and cases what we have with Stardust and with Tampere. So Stardust is really much supporting the Tampere target to become carbon neutral by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Maarit. And for our next speaker is Ernesto Fabuel from the city of Valencia and from the Matchup project, and he will tell us how in Matchup they are engaged citizens. So the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Oh, good morning to everybody. I hope all of you and your families are well. And first, thank you for the organizers for letting me participate in this amazing event. And I would have liked to have it face-to-face, but on the other hand, I would like to congratulate you for changing in such a short period of time. So, as you have mentioned, I belong to the Matchup project. I work for the municipality of Valencia. I'm going to explain the strategy. So it's a different approach than the others that have deepened more in specific cases, and I'm going to explain our strategy that was defined by one of our 28 partners is Cabeloce. It's a small company in Valencia. So we have a next slide, please. Matcha project has 28 partners, 3 lighthouse cities, Valencia, Dresden in Germany, and Antalya in Turkey. And we have 4 follower cities. One of them Finnish is Kerava. Apart from that, we have other Finnish party, by the way, is VGT as a work package leader for monitoring work package. And our project has 4 main pillars: energy, mobility, ICT, and in the very center of the project are the citizens. So it's a city. We have a citizen-centric approach, and for us the citizen engagement is really important, and it's based in 2 main things. First, a 2-way interaction within citizen and governments, so not only top-down, but also mainly bottom-up, as the former speaker Maria from the European Commission has mentioned. It's very important to have a bottom-up approach, and apart from that, we try to tackle this as a process of transformation, both in institutions and in culture of citizens. Next slide, please. So in this picture, you can see our strategy. It's quite a complex picture, but so the main thing is that we have built our environment for citizen engagement in 2 main pillars. First, the results of previous participatory processes that we had held in the different cities, mainly lighthouse cities, and using existing channels and infrastructure for participation. In this slide, you can see in the left side, it's what we mentioned, project domain, and in the right side is the city domain, and in the intersection are the things related to citizen engagement. So during this process that is, so in both margins you have the timeline. So you have during the first year and a half, we had 3 workshops trying to involve the different stakeholders in the city. We had 2 workshops at a city level, and one of them was involving both city levels and project level. So the results of these workshops were really relevant for our project. In this slide, we also include the main milestones in the project related to citizen engagement and the deliverables related to this topic. During the first 2 years, we have defined the strategy, and during the 3rd year, we are carrying out some different things or tools for carrying out this that you can see in purple color. But as we have a short time, please, next slide. So here we have matched our actions with different levels of involvement. As you can see, we have the 5 levels of involvement that we are used to: inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. Depending on the features of each action, we have assigned one of these levels to our actions, and we have followed some principles for carrying out this strategy. So different levels for different actions, using the existing ecosystem features, trying to have an integrated approach for all the actions in all the cities, and it's really important to prioritize all the needs in the participatory process. For the second part of the slide, I have highlighted this in the conclusion, so please go to next slide. In the 3 lighthouse cities, we carried out a district diagnosis approach, mainly carried out in one of the workshops that I have mentioned before, with the goal of improving the quality of life in district inhabitants. focused on three main topics or three main issues: the participation, edu-training, and employment or entrepreneurship. In the left side, in the left part of the slide, you can see this approach for district diagnosis, and on the right side, the main conclusions of this district diagnosis process. Please, next slide. And to finish with and to sum up the presentation, it's very important to have to tackle the citizen engagement with different levels of participation depending on the features of the action, but having the participation and engagement integrated in all the phases, not only at the last phase of the project to inform what we have done or what we need from them, but also from the very beginning. And it's really relevant for us to avoid overburden of participatory projects processes, looking for synergies instead of repetition and being reiterative in these petitions for the citizens to participate in our participatory processes, and trying to give continuity and being very transparent in all the process. So with this, we try to achieve an increasing trust in these kind of processes, and at the end, with the goal of empower the citizens. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernesto, for the crisp and clear presentation. Thank you. Our next speaker is Maria Viitanen from City of Helsinki and project My Smart Life, and she is giving ideas about energy renaissance program and how to facilitate retrofits of housing cooperatives. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mimu, and thanks for the chance to come and talk about this topic today. And I want to also congratulate you for excellent organization of this remote conference, and it has been a pleasure to hear all the presentations and quite exciting pilots so far. And ironically enough, there is a renovation going on at the other side of the wall, so I hope that sound doesn't come through the microphone. Well, but in any case, I am Maria Viitanen and I work at the City of Helsinki as the local city lead of the My Smart Life project. And I'm going to talk to you about today's topic from the point of view of cities' private housing stock and how to accelerate energy retrofits by engaging with the housing cooperatives. Next slide, please.
Maria, now
can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. Can you change the slide, please?
It should be on the slide 2 now. Didn't it? What slide?
Okay,
what do you see?
maybe I see only the slide number 1, but it could be my connection.
It should be slide 2, at least in my screen. Sorry.
Okay, good.
It is so also here.
Okay, probably everyone else sees the correct one. That's perfect. Yes. So you will see the emission segments of the City of Helsinki now in the picture. And the city aims to be carbon neutral by 2035. And so here is where we stand currently. And you can see that the greatest share comes from heating of buildings. So we can clearly see the need and the potential to save energy in this sector. And we have started already, of course, with the buildings that the city owns itself. But then we run into the problematics that Elina hinted just a while ago, that's only a very small part of the whole stock that we can impact directly. So we need to look at the private housing stock even if it's perhaps more difficult. And of course, it means that we need to proceed to the realm of citizen engagement. So next slide, please. So first, I would approach the situation through these points from literature. First of all, when the city has studied the citizens' environmental attitudes, we have found out that citizens are generally concerned about the environment, but there is quite a mild correlation with actions. And in fact, highest correlation, just a detail, is with vegetarianism, which is of course good, but other impactful things such as saving energy at home don't show up as a correlation to attitude. So the second point is that in a more detailed way, going to the energy saving aspect, that quite naturally, single family homeowners are more concerned and active about energy saving than other housing type dwellers. And in other housing types, quite naturally, owner occupiers are more active. These facts are probably due to many things, but certainly one also point of knowledge is that it's not very easy for condominium housing stakeholders to order and implement big energy retrofits. There's a study there you can look up in the bottom of the slide. Next slide, please. So in My Smart Life project in Helsinki, what we did, we went to the Merihaka district that has a lot of condominium housing, and we tried to take some tentative steps to engage these housing cooperatives owning these condominiums into energy retrofits. What we did, we commissioned some studies on what would be the most profitable energy retrofits that these housing condominium cooperatives could start. And we gave out that information in these workshops. And we also invited some experts and city personnel to answer some questions and discuss with the housing cooperatives. And through this experience, we learned that people can really get excited to start these projects. There are no practical results yet, but I hope we can report them at some point. But in any case, this was only a pilot or the first trial, and there is only so much we can achieve with projects that have limited duration in time. So energy retrofit projects have a long time span in the housing cooperative scene, so there needs to be a model for long-term support. Next slide, please. So based on the experiences in Merihaka, other expert or other citizen and expert consultations, we came up with the program called Energy Renaissance. And this is a model for supporting housing cooperatives in energy retrofits. And very concisely what it entails, we look at the steps that we imagine must happen from the perspective of the housing, from getting interested and engaged, getting information, and until finally committing to do the energy retrofit projects. And the idea is that the city on every step serves the citizens and the housing cooperatives in their needs. And we hope that we can take this program into the decision making soon. Let's see, and then in the implementing in the autumn already, and continue from there. So the last slide, and I want to thank you for your attention and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. Next, we hear about learning and sharing and capturing the soft aspects of the smart cities. I have the pleasure to welcome Thomas Watcher from CVUT. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share some thoughts gathered through our involvement in Smart City project on behalf of follower cities. We are part of the Triangulum project together with Prague. We helped them with their feasibility study, and now we are part of SPARCS project. So if you can go to first slide. I will just introduce our background, what we do. We are a group of social scientists that work closely with technical experts and technical university, and we engage stakeholders in research and urban innovation projects, and we have experience from small scale municipal projects to Horizon 2020 projects. Yeah, so you can put another slide, so make it quick. And in our work, we use participatory design, and we always try to combine 3 pillars of this approach. And it was mentioned a couple times, but I would like to stress the first one, which is informing stakeholders, where we find that it's important not just inform them about the project, its goals, and their potential involvement in the project, but it's very important to introduce them to available solutions and what has been done elsewhere, and what's actually technically possible. I think the previous presentation on Smart Life kind of touched that. So this is very important, and you have to be able to dig into this information and find somewhere. Sometimes it's difficult. I will get to that. Then the second pillar is listening, obviously, and the third one is co-creation. And a part of that is also testing, evaluation, and capturing the evidence and the know-how generating and sharing it within the organization we work with, usually city, or with other organizations and cities outside the project. So if you can put another slide. What we think is very important is the social and process aspect of innovation. Stakeholders and citizens should be engaged just in designing the solution and deciding, making decisions, but they should be part of the solution. Very often when you want to make big, impactful urban innovation or come up with transformative solution, the stakeholders need to be part of the transformation, and they need to take a coordinated step forwards together. So we often try to design the interactions between the stakeholders and make them make coordinated decisions and make sure that nobody is left behind. Because if you have a city with many stakeholders and you, for example, we implemented innovation in social care, and this is a system where you really have to have everybody agreed on what's going to happen to the data and how the whole thing will be coordinated. So part of the solution is the stakeholder interactions that need to be designed. Next slide, please. And this is actually what I wanted to share as a main thing. We had a workshop in Manchester together with Manchester University last year, in the spring of last year, with several partners from Horizon 2020 Smart Cities and Communities project running or ending at the time, and most of them were involved in engaging stakeholders in the projects, and we discussed what was actually captured in the results of the project, the deliverables. And they agree that what they consider that was the main impact of their project is very often something that can't be found in the actual deliverables. And what they felt that was worth sharing wasn't monitored and captured enough. So they have this personal experience with what worked with stakeholders, what the project generated in terms of soft aspects. But apart from their personal experience and experience of individual organization, this wasn't captured enough to be replicated or to be taught to others. Because very often we try to replicate the solution, but we don't have enough information on the process and on the soft aspects of the solution. So that's the next slide, actually. So this is just a reminder that it's important to, as a social scientist, to try to capture the process and capture the individual experience and stories, changes in attitudes, drivers and barriers and needs that went into the final solution, fuck-ups that we encountered. It's very useful to share them and useful tips on what worked. And because this is something we need as an input into the informing part of every process, and if you do have those well described, you can actually start at the starting line and not waste precious time of the project team and the stakeholders in discovering something that has been discovered. And also very important is to be able to capture and share the soft part of the result of the solution. And because very often they will be different from city to city, we'll have different stakeholder ecosystems, but just the knowledge of that there was something that needed to be done in terms of process and organization structure will help the other ecosystems or other partners within your ecosystems to adapt the solution. And you can motivate people by pointing out new collaboration spin-off projects that the project generated, positive externalities, and yeah, so that's to that. This is something what we feel that social scientists could get better at, not just facilitating the process, but monitoring it, improving it, and sharing it with others. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. I look forward to discussion.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. And now we have the last presentation before our reflection. So we have Jose Campos Cost from EDP and from Police TUFA project, and he is going to give us the presentation about citizen engagement approach in cultural heritage sites. Floor is yours, Jose.
Thank you, Mimo. So good morning to everyone. So thank you very much for the invitation and congratulations VTT for the organization of this online event and all the previous speakers for the very insightful presentations. So it's very refreshing to be listening about citizen engagement in a time of social distancing. Okay, so my name is José Miguel. I'm Positive Coordinator. Positive is a lighthouse smart city project, such as SPARCS. Next slide, please. And you can give 6 clicks in a row now, if you don't mind. Okay. So our project is composed by 46 partners. Is led by EDP. So EDP is a Portuguese-born utility that has now a worldwide presence. And we have 8 cities involved. Évora in Portugal and Alkmaar in the Netherlands are the lighthouse cities. And the other 6 ones that are spread across Europe are our group of fellow cities. Okay, so the project, again, such as SPARCS, has started in last October. So like Elena, I will be talking more about plans than actual results. And next, please. Our foremost goal is, like our brothers and sisters projects, is to create and deliver positive energy blocks in our 8 cities And the distinctive nuance that Positive has is its focus on heritage cities, okay, heritage sites and heritage buildings. And why? Because first, the Leave No One Behind agenda requires as well historical cities to have tools to endow their citizens, their building owners, with the ability to surf this new energy transition wave, given that these citizens normally cannot resort to more conventional solutions, such as PV systems in their roofs, because there are no legal framework to do that. And second, because our continent, Europe, is rather populated by cities with this cultural protected legacy. So in principle, what Positive is and will be able to achieve will have an interesting replication potential. And next one. We have 4 groups of solutions. Here, it is more highlighted the citizen engagement set of integrated solutions that we have. Just to give you one brief example, we will deploy a peer-to-peer platform. So what this solution will do is it will reward citizens that inhabit the historical centers, so that cannot simply install PV solutions, for their sustainable behaviors in what concerns waste reduction, energy efficiency, or even electrical mobility uptake, for instance. And it will reward citizens with tokens that can be exchanged by green certificates of origin from PV plants positioned in the outskirts of the cities, by donations to alleviate energy poor communities, and will also be exchanged by a virtual energy wallet by taking part in a community solar farm. And next one, please. So, and why we can have a tweak when discussing citizen engagement in historical cities? Because citizens can perceive this improvement of sustainability, this road to a greener future, as a trade-off with their tangible legacy, their old buildings, so they can resist more to these sustainable solutions, fearing that the landscape will be changed. In this slide, I show you just the citizen engagement plan for the first year. The first step already concluded was the definition of a study protocol, so with the methodology, the sample design, and the 4 groups of questions, which will focus on the energy consumption, the citizen participation and their relation with the community. Here, a special set of heritage-related questions will be posed. The third on the interaction with the smart energy services, and the 4th and the last one concerning electrical mobility. The next step, which we are already proceeding with, is to define the strategy to approach the citizens. So this will not be centrally done. We will take advantage of local facilitators regarding each city ecosystem to boost these events, okay? So to disseminate and to provide general feedback about their citizens. Going to the next step on the data collection activities. So the plan was to go to the fields and to collect this data, interview the citizens. So COVID will have a significant impact here. The 4th, to conduct the analysis on the data, and all in all, to reach September with a citizen engagement plan. So, and to identify the engagement triggers that we will have. Next one, please. Thank you. So this plan was done before the outbreak of COVID-19, but we'll still stick to it and follow with a different consultation or perceptions gathering process. So it can be also an opportunity to let our creativity run wild and establish the digital-based framework to proceed with the engagement strategy, and a good opportunity to collaborate with projects like SPARCS that probably will experiencing the same challenging. And now to conclude the last slide, this is just an example of the map that we can unfold after the questionnaires. And it will be one of the most interesting results from this first year to find out how citizens are positioned towards this topic and how this change from city to city, country to country. And just to give you one example, looking at group number 2, so if we find that citizens are very conservative in protecting their buildings, but still wants to be greener, probably they will be keen to participate in co-creation processes, as they will be interested in taking part in creating these tailored solutions, so to get the sense of ownership on them and to have control the impact on the heritage sites. And to conclude, bottom line, so the initial engagement messages will be tailored against each 4 groups that you can see here, specific characteristics and perceptions. And this will actually impact on the training that we are planning to give to local facilitators, because possibly more conservative people will prefer someone from the municipality to convince them that the heritage buildings will not suffer dramatic changes, whereas someone techier can prefer to hear from solutions providers. And next one. Thank you. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you very much. Follow us, and I hope to be presenting you in 1 or 2 years with a good basket of good practices like the ones that we've been listening today.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you. Really interesting. Thank you for all the presenters, and apologies that we are running quite a lot late in this schedule. And we are therefore asking if we could still have like 20 minutes for the reflections about the comments and the questions. And we have actually Maria from the mission board. So she was raising the questions about how do you envisage your green city by 2030, and what can you do to achieve this vision? And also, what can your city to do this vision, and what can the mission to do to help to achieve the vision? So if we could have still like 20 minutes time for the reflection, so we are happy to share. So maybe one of the lighthouses or someone else who haven't been in the voice so would like to reflect about how do you envisage what is the green city by 2030, and what can you do to achieve this vision? So who wants to start the discussion? Okay, some people need to leave. What about, Elina, could you just reflect briefly how you have in Espo? How do you think, what are the main part of your vision?
Thank you, Mimu. And thank you for all presenters. It has been very, very pleasant morning time we had. And regarding your question, as I had in my first slide, the topic was that Espoo wants to be the most sustainable city in Europe. And in our strategy, it says now and in the future. So for 2030, that is, I think, very valid theme. And as a city, we are growing very rapidly, 5,000 to 6,000 new residents per year. So that also brings us gives us new challenges regarding sustainable growth. And yes, if I just say, I believe that city of Espoo is carbon neutral by 2030. We have already 2025 achieved the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and we are continuing the work, and of course, until and beyond 2030 regarding that. And hopefully our citizens they are already now interested how that city is developed, and they are still even more engaged to it. And somehow the citizen activism or actions are part of our everyday life. Was that something that you were looking for?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That was really good answer. Ernesto, you are representing City of Valencia. What are your reflections about this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Well, we are quite ambitious related to that, and so we are focusing in the missions and trying to align our missions to the missions that have been shown before. And we are working in some main topics, trying to define, for example, nature-based solutions. So we are involved in some projects that are related to this. And we know that it's quite difficult to achieve our goals, but we will try to do our best. And with this, we are trying to align all the different departments in the municipality. We have now in the municipality has hired a person for coordinating all the agenda 2030, and he's working with all the departments to align all of this and to align to the topics that are being proposed by Europe in this case. Like a summary, as a first step from our side.
Okay, thank you. So you are actually really structured already because you have coordinators to especially focusing on this. So that's really good to hear.
Yes, I think that we are one of the first cities in Europe that are trying to work in this line, and in fact we have presented our strategy to different cities in Spain, and they are interested in deepening in that. So in this thing, I think that we are in a way pioneering the strategy for some cities in Spain.
Wonderful.
And being part of this group of SCCO1 projects has opened our minds to work together with different stakeholders, different projects, different cities, and it has been very good for us.
Wonderful, thank you. What about then in the city of Tampere? What are your actions to achieve your ambitious goals? Do you have already all in the paper and in the process?
Yes, Marit, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, so we have a program called Sustainable Tampere 2030 here in Tampere, and we are implementing the program with cooperation with different city units, public utilities, and other stakeholders. And especially this electric utility company has done major steps in uses of renewable energy sources, and that's why the district heating is coming more and more greener, so that more or less and less this pollution and carbon dioxide is in the air from the heating side of as the heating is big part of the this carbon dioxide consume, or the who are giving the carbon dioxide levels higher, but we are decreasing it in that point of view. And climate friendly solutions are being thought through cooperation. So cooperation with stakeholders is really important. And we are having this kind for the citizen point of view. We are, for example, had this climate hero action ongoing last year, so that we collected good ideas from the citizens that how can citizens decrease the levels of carbon dioxide, and selected a couple of winners who are like the heroes and model citizens in this matter. But still, it's really tight schedule, but we are convinced that we can do it.
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. And do you have any reflections what the mission from the Commission side, so how they can support your actions?
From Tampere point of view, I think sharing the experiences, both good and bad, is really important, so that we can replicate the good solutions and also learn from the not so successful, that cities are not making the same mistakes again. So mission is really in the role of collaboration and updating that.
Yes, wonderful, thank you. And by the way, Oana is just writing that the Commission and the board members, so they will welcome all the feedback on the questions also in written. So if you want to deepen your reflections, we are also like making a summary of this discussion, but also like if you want to deepen it, so that's more than welcome. Well, what about then in Prague? I know Michael and Thomas that you are working closely with the city of Prague in many various projects, and especially focusing on climate neutrality. Do you have any reflections how you can support the city in achieving the vision, and also like what are your wishes to the mission to achieve the vision? So either Michael or Thomas, if we're still online, so could you reflect on this?
Michael, do you want to take this?
I think here the role of the coordination between the lighthouses and, as Tomas suggested, the task force he's a member of is instrumental, where you can actually identify the processes that led to successful take-up of the ideas first by the key actors within the municipalities, and then how those ideas spread through the decision-making process all the way to the, let's say, most active citizens and most active, let's say, groups that unify citizens. That's what we are aiming for, to actually see who are the key actors. And I think to know how to identify those multiplicators is one of the goals to know. So yeah, Tomáš, if you want to follow up.
Yeah, and I also think that we as a university help the cities, not just Prague, find a neutral ground for discussion, because very often you have various actors, and when they are trying to find objective goals and what's actually possible, they like to call upon somebody who is able to not just facilitate the discussion and provide a participatory design framework, but also bringing experts. And this very often worked. And as I said, it was useful if it wasn't just us, but when we could brought up people from other cities to share with them and to motivate them towards more ambitious goals, because I think Czech cities sometimes often to be more reserved, even though they're trying to work very hard. They sometimes don't have the ambition to promise very much. So, but But we have a good experience with actually engaging with them, and if they feel that they can build up this division on informed discussion with experts and objective data, they're able to willing go much farther. And I think this happened with couple cities in Czech Republic already. So I think this is what we can bring as a university: facilitate discussion, neutral partner that doesn't have agenda of their own, and then facilitate informed discussion towards more ambitious goals.
Okay, thank you. Good reflections. What about in the city of Helsinki? Maria, could you reflect from the Helsinki side?
Yeah, thanks for the turn. I've been thinking about how to answer this question, that what is the vision, and been thinking about our carbon neutrality plan, of course. But in a way, I'd say that it's not even my task as a civil servant to envisage what the city would be in 30 or 35 when it's carbon neutral. But I guess what I'm thinking that as a civil servant, we can give the parameters that we need to reduce our resource use and through consumption and technology development, and put in place those platforms where experts and citizens and other stakeholders can then come together and form that vision, that what does this actually mean for our daily life and lifestyle and work and business and school and organizing things. What does it actually mean that we somehow give up of this resource use that we have been building up until now? So I'd say that we don't have that answer yet, but we're working hard to put in place these action plans that help us to reach that technical target, and then it's up to us all then come together and then see what it means in other aspects of our lives, if that that could form my answer.
Yes, thank you. Really good reflection. And do you see the mission could help you in this communication and creating and co-designing the common future?
Yes, absolutely. I think that what we heard from Maria and Oana, I think it was, and Olli, I think it was very interesting in terms of casting the city's role as somehow the stakeholder manager, and somehow taking this thinking further, that what is actually the city's role in this puzzle, and then working with other cities and the mission to then clarify that. I think that is at least an interesting starting point.
Yes, thank you. And we have from the city of Vaasa, Maria Backman is writing your reflections. Would you like to take the floor and give your reflections about your visions and what are you doing to achieve your visions? So Maria Backman.
Thank you very much. I did take the possibility to inform you about the City of Vaasa, also partner in Smart City Lighthouse Project, Iris Smart City Lighthouse Project, where the lighthouse cities are Utrecht, Nice, Gothenburg, and the fellow cities are Foxani, Alexandropolis, Santa Cruz de Tenerife, and Vaasa. And the City of Vaasa, in fact, has a central role in this IRIS project as work package leader for the replication work package. From the city point of view, we are very much committed to the energy and climate issues, and we're committed, of course, to this Covenant of Mayors to be a carbon neutral city by 2035. But as late as last December, the City Council decided when updating the city strategy that the city will be a carbon neutral city by 2028. X. So that means before 2030. So this means we're very much committed to our work plan, and the region of Vaasa is known for its energy cluster and energy knowledge and the strong cooperation. So, and the city has also been involved in the urban agenda energy transition partnership. So we see it as a great importance and advantage to implement and also to streamline the actions in order to reach the goals. And as mentioned earlier, in Finland, many or at least some citizens engagement actions are demanded by laws in Finland, and therefore like part of daily life and normal work. But just like many other cities, we also have a strong focus on the citizens engagement program, and we will take the advantages from the IRIS project also, where they focus very strongly and successfully on the citizens engagement approach. So these are all parts that we also will put into our daily work, and of course happy also to share the knowledge and lessons learned from this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Really good reflections. Any other reflections or comments about this? How you envisage or what are your doings and actions to achieve the visions? So any other reflections, because we are soon running.
Mimo, Francesco talking here. Should we also ask Hans Martin if she is connected to give us a point of view of Vienna?
Yes, exactly. Hans Martin, would you like to comment on behalf of Vienna and other cities with whom you are working? Hans Martin, are you online still? It seems that Hans Martin maybe left the connection. Also, we have if no one else is willing to ask a last comment from the Jose Campos, if you are still online, based on your, especially on the cities with cultural heritage. So, how do you see to set the vision, and what would you do to achieve the vision? Would you like to give your short comment?
Yeah, hello. So cannot really reply instead of the city of Everett, that it's a pity that they could not join the event. What I can say is that for sure cities like Everett, which is a medium-sized city with 50,000 inhabitants, will for sure capitalize a lot on projects like Positive or other smart cities projects that they have in their pipeline. Because Everett was the birth of one of the first Iberian smart grids projects, so only focusing on the electrical distribution grid. And with Positive, they can take a further step and look at it from an overarching way. The challenge on the heritage sites will always continue, and one of the most interesting outcomes that the citizens can have due to Positive is that if the municipality will be able to circumvent the legal obstacles and find solutions, PV solutions to install in their buildings, what they want to do is to leave as legacy of the project framework for the citizens to them do themselves. So I think in terms of plans of the city to 2030, I really don't know, to be honest. But in terms of Positive, I think that's a pretty outcome that citizens can take.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was really interesting. Thanks a lot for this reflection. Then there was one question. I see that one is still online. So there was also really early on a question about what is the process for identifying the cities, these 100 cities, and what are the criteria for those cities. So do you have already some ideas on that, or is that still developing? Oana or Maria can reflect on those.
I could a little bit, and then I would have actually yet one question that has been, kind of forgotten up to now. So when it comes to the criteria of selection, right now we are in the process of discussing this very thoroughly within the board. We believe that it is very important to select cities on the basis, once again, of also geographic criteria. To see that no region is being left behind. We need also, let's say, a representative array of cities. So different sizes, different challenges, different backgrounds. So we can have a mix of projects because what we want to achieve with the mission, of course, is replicable, scalable, and innovative projects that may be useful for other parts of Europe. So if we end up with the same kind of cities facing the same kind of challenges and actually all applying more or less the same kind of projects, then we're not being innovative enough. But I think this is clear. Now, if we look into it a little bit deeper, once again, we want all cities that will be selected to be developing a climate neutrality action plan that arguably will lead the part of the city or the whole city or the entire city to climate neutrality by 2030. So it has to have measurable objectives, and it has to include actions that lead arguably to these measurable objectives. Once again, this is where we stand right now. What we are envisaging is placing an open call in the beginning, so cities that are interested can, let us know that they're interested in being part of the mission, and then the call being followed by the selection then of 100 cities, once again, on the basis approximately of the criteria that I have been describing right now, and then an intensive phase of preparation so that cities that are not fit to start straight away will have enough time to adapt or develop their climate action plans further so that we could perhaps really start by 2022. And then there's numerous of ideas like quick wins and kickstarting projects, like starting with the ones that are already fit to start earlier, and also this way producing first results or enabling first projects that will kickstart the initiatives of other cities, and so on and so forth. Now, I have one question that has been left untouched up to now, and this is what would you want from the mission, right? What can the mission do to achieve the vision of citizen participation? Or do you have any feedback on the overall design of the mission? Is there anything you want to tell the board, now on our way of drafting our second report? And before we do that.
Okay, thank you, Maria. That was really good question. Does anyone has any, or who wants to start with what are the wishes from the mission?
Mimo, perhaps I could. I'm Anne from City of Oulu in Finland. Maybe I could comment a little of that. I have been following up the preparation of this mission with an interest. Me myself, I'm working with European policies, so I'm not directly responsible for our environmental or digital objectives or programs. But in our city, at the moment, we have a very recent environmental program and a very recent digital program, and I can see that we could have a good setup to actually address a mission like this. However, what I see is, for example, from our point of view, that the mission could actually, I hope that it could motivate us to actually to have a more horizontal point of view towards the, for example, the citizen engagement in order to achieve our climate carbon neutral goals. I think that we do citizen engagement, we do in different fields, different departments, we use digital tools, we use living labs, but we still kind of, I think my personal opinion is that we could have a more holistic approach to these questions. Also connected to this environmental program and our digital program and their synergy together in these questions. I think that if there is a mission, we'll have this idea of having different levels of governance together in contract. If that contract is attractive enough in that sense that there is realistically also these resources behind it, also financial resources, that I think that it would motivate also our city to do a little bit even more effort than now to be able to become a part of that type of contract, I hope. So this mission could be a motivator. But what I'm a little bit maybe worried of, maybe, is that finally, what about the other than these 100 cities? How to make sure that also they have resources to go forward if they are left out of the mission? Because I don't know if maybe 2030 is coming too fast in their circumstances. There are issues that you just can't solve before 2030. To become completely carbon neutral. So I'm thinking about flexibility with these aspects.
Thank you, Anne. Maria, do you have reflections on that? Maria, maybe you're...
Yes, here I am. It's a little bit difficult to find the micro. it disappears after a while of listening. So yes, I do have reflections on that. I just wanted to tell you that this actually reflects pretty much our current status of discussion. We also have stated that it is of crucial importance that financial resources are accessible and available as a main means of motivating cities to participate, and that this really has to be done within the next months if we want cities to be expressing interest to be part of this. We have also been discussing that 2021 is actually, 2030 is actually tomorrow, in a sense. It's just around the corner. So we really have to be flexible and look into, try to develop flexible contracts that will give different types of cities the opportunity to be part of it. And one last issue, I was also listening, to the different projects that were presented today, and all of them are wonderful initiatives. What we can all see is that most of them are developed in one or the other way by experts or by NGOs or by cities themselves. So the development of these projects is not exactly bottom up, which is okay at this stage in time. But I think what we have to work out are ways to also include more bottom up projects that are really ideas of the people themselves, that really emerge, even emerge bottom up. So what we said is that we would like to have a horizontal approach for cities when developing their climate action plans, which means we would like to suggest very open means of involving people, even in the climate action and climate strategy development process, hoping that this will be also a way of inspiring people to develop also their own ideas on the level of neighborhoods or urban quotas.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Unfortunately, this one is running quite a lot, and we are apologies. We are really late from the schedule. Does someone still have something to add or to raise the question? Of course, I mean, as Oana and Maria both have pointed out, so all the feedback and questions are still welcome in after this session. So. It's not left out if you didn't have time now to have the question. But is there still some urgent actions, or shall we start finishing the session?
Hello, this is Ari Lainevuo from Helsinki Uusimaa Regional Council, and thank you of most interesting approach and most interesting presentations. I couldn't unfortunately hear the first ones because of some other actions, but I still like to thank you, especially Maria and Anne, of this sort of policy approach, because all we know that even if cities are aiming for carbon neutral in public procurement, etc., it's just part of the solution, and the citizen engagement and bottom up is very good complementary thing. But as we know, what we call the consumer clean tech or such is that it's also very structural and very policy things, and policy basement is in Europe. I think it's in the regions, and I want really to connect the citizens, cities and regions to the new sort of regional development in Europe and in the next program period, etc. And I think that we need all of these kind of approaches. And I think I'm very glad that I noticed that the quadruple helix approach is present in I would say most or maybe all presentations here, and it's a very nice thing. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ari, for your good reflections. So maybe we should start wrapping up this one. And as said, so all the presentations, so they will be in the SPARCS www pages, and we are sending you the link, and also like all the feedback and reflections are more than welcome, even after these sessions. Just like a final slide of the questionnaires, what we have done for the citizens. So this is not for a specific one city, but different cities in Finland. And we were asking that what are the most important factors when you are choosing your place to live if you are kind of like moving. So it was really clear the location was the first one in the criteria, then technical conditions, and unfortunately the ecological things and sustainable development was in the last part when they were choosing their living environment. So we still have quite a lot and quite a many things and actions what we need to do. But on the other hand, I mean, the technical conditions, of course, can reflect to the ecological properties of the buildings as well. So it's maybe not that bad as this statistic shows, but shows clearly that we have and need to do actions with the citizens and innovate with the citizens the best actions. And now I have the pleasure to give the closing words for the SPARCS coordinator, Francisco Reda from VTT.
So, hello everyone. Yes, you have to bear with me hopefully for 5 minutes only. So, well, first of all, I like also to give you my reflection on the question of today. But more from a generic perspective, actually. What can actually be, and you hopefully also see my screen over there. So what can be done, what the city can do is basically develop and test this local context-aware integrated, and that's a key word, integrated solution that have a multi-sectoral aspect in between. So when we talk about climate change solutions, those solutions mostly are active in different sectors: electricity, heating, mobility, ICT, citizen engagement, so social, and so forth. And all the solutions that we have to develop to tackle the project, to tackle this challenge, needs to have this integrated aspect included there. So this is what we have to do. And by doing that, cities have to be able and need to have the tool to develop a local ecosystem that is able to interact and tackle the development of this solution towards this perspective, so keeping the integration in mind. What the mission has to do basically, or should do to somehow support this process, is basically to foster support the knowledge exchange between these 100 cities, but also with other cities, so to not leave them behind. But we are all aware that there are cities more advanced and there are cities instead that are a bit one step behind. Both of them should be supported, and cities actually learn a lot from each other, as we saw today in this remote event. So you see that by exchanging information, actually you achieve already quite something that just by developing the solution on your own. So it's a parallel and co-creation process in a way. And then it has to also include somehow the industry in the discussion then, and push them also to develop this new digital integrated solution, so to support basically citizen or people in general to jump into the solution and be at the center basically. So wrapping up, I have to thank you all, presenters, speakers, organizers, so to join this remote event. SPARCS teams, we are very creative and we don't easily give up. So then we wanted to transform and to reshape our event from a physical event to a remote meeting, showing that still this is possible despite all the unfortunate and uncommon condition throughout Europe there. So in this quite peculiar time, we need to be creative and still get the most out of our activities there. So I'll thank you all again for joining and for presenting there. Then let me just briefly introduce our project also to give you an understanding why we wanted actually to promote and organize this meeting with the support of the Mission Board on Climate Neutral and Smart Cities. So in SPARCS, we are 31 partners and we have 7 cities involved, 2 as a lighthouse, so Espo and Leipzig, and 5 our fellow cities, so Reykjavik, Lviv, Kladno, Kifisia, Maya. So in a way, we also cover this geographical aspect that we were discussing before, and each city have their own challenge, of course, main challenge, but most of them have common challenge that basically they have to solve them. And since we are at the beginning, you might have actually grasped it. We wanted to somehow set and organize the meeting to pave the way for a collaborative exercise to exchange information of best practice about citizen engagement practices in different sectors also. As we saw, there were some practices that were more oriented toward the planning, some other that were more oriented toward the energy aspect, and so forth. So, and we want to learn and we want to build up our planned engagement practices, so on what has been done before. And the main achievement, besides listening to the presentation, is also that now with the material that we have collected, we are going to spread it out to all the interested partners, not only in SPARCS, but in other projects as well. And you can find then the experts that are working on this best practice so that we can basically put together the expert in different cities and to talk and develop the common solutions there. In SPARCS, we have also citizen engagement practices or activities planned. If I summarize them all, since we have 7 cities there, most of them will happen in a lighthouse, but the fellow cities are also following closely. We have citizen engagement activities that are meant to support the creation of local innovation ecosystem. So what Maria, you were saying about the bottom-up approach, we wanted to have it in our project as well. And we want also to somehow boost the creation of this bottom-up practices in a way, involving local ecosystem and also people there. Then inclusive governance and planning instrument for new pet development area there. So the slide that Mimo showed about the questionnaire there gave an important message that basically people choose their place to live, not accordingly with sustainable plan or this kind of action. And what we want to do is to reverse that results of the questionnaire, somehow figuring out a way how to involve people in the development of this new area so that they become context aware and probably they will choose to live there because of these better air quality, environmental conditions that will be there. Last but not least, which is actually the core of SPARCS technical solution, is the creation of a citizen and investment friendly, urban and sustainable carbon-free pet solution. So this is in a way through an integrated solutions between ICT technology, regulation and financial solutions. We want to bring people at the center of our technical positive energy district solutions. So somehow involving them into some technical aspect when it comes to load balancing, energy load balancing and so forth, but also being able to somehow invest into renewable energy solutions and monitor their consumption or their production, so with interacting with the grid as well. So this is something that we want and we plan to create. But as I said, we are at the beginning and we know that other projects have done already quite good job on the matter and we want to learn from them, so to better plan our actions then, so that in a couple of years from now, we can then share our best practice, as Elina was saying, also showing that basically SPARCS, with the help of what has been done so far, was successful and finally achieved some cornerstone, and even probably showing new way how to further develop so the citizen-centric solution. So finally, I'll thank you all. I'll thank you also the other smart cities and community projects that co-organized the event with us. So Matchup, Smarter Together, Positive Making City, My Smart Life and Stardust. I hope you have enjoyed the meeting and stay safe, stay healthy, and we will be back to you with this document that wrap up basically the diamonds of the discussion of today. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.